Today I'm going to be showing you guys something that I've never done before, and that is an acrylic application from start to finish. I'm going to show you guys how to apply your tips perfectly all the way down to how to have a flawless application, because I know that's something a lot of people struggle with. I'm going to show you all my tips and tricks. This is a whole entire course at this point. So if you want to know exactly how I do this for free of charge, all you have to do is subscribe and finish watching this video.
Come back 6, wake me in your child, and then won't lay today. Make me wonder who you might have been playing with. Makes me wonder who you think.
Okay, so let's get straight into it. So the first thing I'm going to do right now is push the cuticles back. This is really important because we want to expose any dead skin that is on the natural nails so that we can get rid of them. So never skip this step, guys. I know it seems so annoying sometimes, but it makes a huge difference. And then I'm going to go in with my cuticle drill bit. You can choose whatever cuticle drill bit that works for you best, but this is my preferred one, and I'm using this around the cuticle area, and I'm very light-handed. I'm not putting any pressure. I'm letting the cuticle drill bit do its work, okay? And then I'm going to flip my drill bit to the opposite direction, and I'm going to go ahead and go over the nails all over again on the opposite side. Okay, this helps to reduce any damage that could possibly cause the nail. So like I said, always stay light-handed when you are doing this, okay? Okay, so now that that's done, we're going to go ahead and use our sandband drill bit, and we're going to go over this on the natural nail. I'm going to make sure my drill is on a level 3 or 2, depending on how damaged the client's nail is. You know, as a nail tech, you have to actually realize like, okay, this client's nail is quite damaged. I don't want to overfile, but I always make sure that my sandband drill bit is on level 3 or 2. So now that that's done, the next step that we're going to take is to cut the cuticle area. This is just going to give the nail a cleaner look and also expose more space so that our nails are going to be as long lasting as possible. So I know that cutting cuticles is something that a lot of beginners are really intimidated by. So I'm going to tell you guys exactly how you can do this like a pro. As you guys can see, I'm utilizing the tip of my cuticle nippers. I'm not always using the sides. The only time I use the side of my cuticle nippers is when I am cutting around the edges and the sides of the nails. But when I go further into the cuticle area, I'm using the tip, and I'm also pushing back the skin to expose any dead skin. So I hope this really helps. So the next thing we're going to do right now is we're going to apply some tips. So I got these tips from AliExpress a long time ago. I haven't been able to find the actual vendor that I got them from, but I hope I can link it down below once I do a little bit of research. But I'm using these, but because they're so curved and so strong, I had to use some extra reinforcement to be able to have them to stick, especially when your client has flat nail beds. So I always dip my tip into a dish of monomer. So I apply the glue on the natural nail, and then I dip the tip into the monomer, and then I apply it onto the nails. And the monomer acts like an extra glue, like, because monomer has HEMA in it, and HEMA is like a sticky agent, like what actually allows the product to stick. So it was perfect to combine that with the glue, and it worked perfectly, and I never had issues with my curved tips popping up. So this has been a game changer for me. Okay guys, we are almost done with prep work. Okay, we're gonna cut our clients' nails now. One tip that I would like to give you guys is when you're cutting your clients' nails, you have to make sure that you're using the ring finger as your beginner point. Whenever I use the pinky, it always come up too long or too short because the pinky nail is really short compared to your ring finger, middle finger and your index finger. So I always start with my ring finger and then I size each and every one of them next to each other. And also when you are checking to make sure that they all are the same length, you go cuticle area to cuticle area. Only time I use the tips to compare is when the client has really bitten nails compared to the rest of them. So I do recommend that you use the cuticle area to confirm each sizing. And then once you're done with that, you're gonna be ready to shape and file. Okay, so I am doing a really tapered squared nail for my client, so I decided to clip the sides just a little bit so it can make it easier for me to file, because you don't want to spend too much time filing, guys. Okay, so we are now ready to file our nails, making sure that everything is in shape. So what I would like to let you guys know is be very careful when you are filing the sides of your client's nails, because you can still cut them using a file, especially if it's a brand new one. Some people like to make their files blunt before they start using it on their clients, but I personally know how to avoid that. So whenever I'm filing, I'm pinching the skin back, okay? No matter how careful you are, you have to make sure that you're pinching the client's skin back. Another tip that I would also recommend is flip the file towards the rounder side. As you can see, my file has like a straight side and a curved side. Use the curved side as well when you're filing the side walls of your nails, because it really just creates a perfect opportunity for you to not hurt your clients or cut them. Okay, so moving on to the next step, we're going to be using our sandband drill bit again, and we're going to make sure to file the edges of those tips so that they can become a lot more flush towards the natural nail. Do not be too heavy-handed with this. Be very light-handed. Allow the drill bit to do its work. You don't need to apply any pressure whatsoever, because you can actually hurt your client. Guys, we're using a lot of tools when we're doing nails, okay? And these tools can actually hurt and, you know, tear skin. So you have to be very careful when working with these tools. So don't be too heavy-handed. I had to learn this the hard way, especially when I was working in a salon, that, you know, when you're too heavy-handed, some people can feel it. And sometimes also when you're holding your client's nail, don't be too heavy, like. Okay guys, now comes the serious part. We're gonna prep and dehydrate the nails. So the first thing I'm using is the Nail Nails Dehydrator. This is one of my favorite products. It really does suck up all the oils from the nail. If you're a genuine beginner, the reason why we use a dehydrator is because when you apply anything onto a oily surface, it's not going to stick, okay? So make sure there is no oil on the natural nail before you apply any product whatsoever. And then we go ahead and apply a primer and a bond. I like to use both because it just gives me a longer retention time, but we use a primer simply because it creates a sticky surface so that the product can glue even more. Okay, you can skip it, but I don't recommend it. A primer would really be a game changer for you. So the product I'm using today as my acrylic base is the Nails Natural Beige, one of my favorite colors. My clients love it as well. It appears really nicely on darker skin tones or lighter skin tones, so I highly recommend this powder. This powder is also a core powder, so you don't have to apply any clear acrylic on top of it. I don't want anyone coming for me in the comments saying, oh, you didn't apply any clear to protect the color. No, this is a core powder. It does not need acrylic or clear acrylic on top of it. You're just going to add extra product that you really don't need. A lot of powders actually come as core powders, or you can just mix your favorite color with some clear and it's, you know, it's now a core powder. But this particular one that I got from Nails is a core powder. Okay. So now when it comes to applying your acrylic onto the natural nails, you have to know your liquid to powder ratio. Okay, you need to know what type of size bead that you should be using on every nail. So the kind of amount that you use on the pinky is not the same you're going to use on the ring finger, index finger or middle finger. They're all different. There is no rule to how many beads you can use. That 3 bead method is truly just for people that have a good day every single day in their life. Okay, be realistic with yourself. So what I do is I take a medium to wet bead as my first bead. Okay, because people don't talk about the ratio of liquid to powder when you are applying on each section. So the first bead is going to be quite a runny bead, but not too runny. Wipe your brush to get rid of any excess. If you feel like it's separating the product a bit too much, wipe your brush. Okay, that way you do not waste product and you will have a more consistent application. And always tap before you swipe. Once the acrylic is in place, that's when you start swiping. Okay, you do not swipe when the acrylic is still wet and it's still moving. When you go to the cuticle area, make sure that you drain the bead. So you pick up the bead with one side of the brush and then you drain the brush on the other side and then you apply. When we started doing nails, when I was learning, I was told that monomer should not get on the skin. Even me wiping on the side was something that I wasn't taught. However, when you are doing that, or if you're going to do that, make sure that your brush is pretty much dried or does not have too much liquid, because monomer is a chemical and you don't know how your clients will react, so you don't want to overdo it. So make sure the bead is not wet when you're applying anything on the cuticle area. Okay, so let's do this again. So my first bead is a medium to wet bead. Okay, so I'm dragging down so that I can push down the rest of the product, and then because I don't want to waste product, I'm tapping. Okay, tapping is your friend. It helps you move the product around. It's like a gentle swipe when you tap, but it's really not. As time goes by, you will figure out, you know, when to tap, when to swipe, when to drain your brush, and when to structure your nails. So as you can see, I'm tapping the side. I'm using the side of my brush. I'm using the flat side of my brush. Like, utilize your brush as much as possible. Okay. When you are applying the second bead, you can see that I drained the brush on the other side. Okay, I drained it, and that allows the product to not move too much. As you can see, that second bead did not give me that complete even look that I'm looking for. You can almost see a little bump up there, and as I'm wiping the cuticle area, my brush is not too wet. Okay, there's no reason for that area to be too shiny when you're wiping or cleaning the cuticle area. So now for me to even out my application, I go ahead with a wet bead and I swipe down. This is not to create structure. This is just to make sure that my product is opaque and also it's giving a consistent apex. Okay, so that middle bead can really change the game. You really don't need to apply any more than 3 beads a lot of the time. But if there's any areas that's missing that needs a little bit more love, that's fine. You can apply. Okay, as you guys can see, this bead is quite wet. So I'm spending a lot of time tapping, and I'm also wiping my brush because I don't want to lose product, okay? This is the best method so that you can actually create a structure of the nail, an apex, without having to do too much work, okay? The only time I start swiping is when I realize, okay, we've got an opacity down, the structure of the nail is looking good, and I still have product left. All right, let's take off that product. Okay, there is no reason why you should have too much acrylic, on your paper towel. As you can see, my paper towel is quite empty. There's only bits and bobs there. So make sure that when you are working, you are utilizing your products. Do not waste products. This stuff is costing a lot of money every single day, especially when you spend good money on, expensive products such as nail nails. Okay, you don't want to waste powders. You don't want to waste monomer. Also, I'm using the nail nails monomer today. If you have made it this far into the tutorial, I'm so grateful. Thank you so much for watching. I do hope you are a subscriber, because apparently 80% of you guys that are watching me are not subscribers. So please click that red button, don't be shy, and join the family. And if you're liking tutorials like this, please let me know in the comments, or just click the like button. That would be really helpful. Like I said before, thank you so much. We actually hit 500 subscribers, which we are very grateful for. So now we are going to start shaping and filing the nail. Okay, I tried to speed this up a little bit because I feel like the shaping and filing part is quite redundant. But I try to make sure that I record everything else in real time so that you guys can see each and every one of the steps that I make and how it's okay to take your time. Some of my nails can take hours to do. This is a very simple design, and I believe it took me about 2 hours because I'm very precise and I'm very particular with how I want my clients' nails to look. So take your time when filing. Like I said before, when I spoke about the filing and shaping, make sure you are protecting your client's side walls. If you look very closely, I am protecting the side walls of my client's hands by pinching it, okay? Pinch the sides so that the nail does not get caught. And quite honestly, the file is going to catch your own natural nails, but at least your client is safe and they're happy with their appointment. So now it's time for my favorite part of this application, and it is filing the nails. So I'm using a medium drill bit today because I really want to save some time. Sometimes when I use my fine drill bit, it just comes off too smooth. Like it doesn't give me exactly that slender shape. Sometimes you need something a bit tougher to go over the nails, but this drill bit is really nice. It's tapered, and I'll make sure to link that down below for you guys. It's a really good one, but it saves you a lot of time, but it does not compromise the quality of your work. And if you noticed, while I'm shaping, I do not go too further into the cuticle area. You don't want to overfile the cuticle area because that can cause lifting. So I'm focusing most of my filing at the edge and on the side of the nails. And if I'm gonna go to the cuticle area, it will be 1 or 2 passes or even 3, but I'm not heavy handed with it because I'm still gonna go in with a fine drill bit towards the cuticle area to just give it that perfect and flush look. But you do not want to overfile. Do not go too far into the cuticle area with this. I'm using 1 stroke at a time around the cuticle areas, okay? So now we're going to be using our fine drill bit. This is a very fine drill bit, and I'm using that mainly around the cuticle areas. If you want to smooth out the rest of the nails a bit more, you can go down further. But this is pretty much for me to clean the cuticle areas even more and give it a more flushed look. It needs to look like it's growing out of my nails, okay? That's the vibe we're trying to go for. So again, be very light-handed when you are filing nails or using the drill bit. The drill bit, there's a reason it comes with medium, you know, fine, coarse, because it does not want you to put pressure, you know. So if you're using a fine drill bit, let it be fine. If you're using a medium drill bit, let it be medium, because I chose to switch from my using a fine drill bit to file to using a medium drill bit to file, because when I was using the fine one to bulk file, I found myself using pressure, and I shouldn't have to do that. Okay, so if you're using pressure using a particular drill bit, you need to get something coarser or something that works with whatever you're trying to do. For example, you're doing a removal. Okay, when you're doing a removal, you want to have a coarse drill bit so that you don't have to do too much pressure or apply too much pressure. Okay, so now after all of that, we're gonna go ahead and buff the nails, which is, I don't enjoy this part because it's a lot of handwork. It's a lot of elbow grease. But yeah, buffing the nails really does make a huge difference, especially when it comes to product application, gel polish application. You really need to not skip this step. As much as I used a fine drill bit to go over everything, a buffer really just like melts everything together. I'm also filing the bottom of the nails because my client said that she did not want to have too much of a sharp edge because she didn't want to hurt her nephew. So she made sure that I buffed it. I don't recommend you use a file to do this because you don't want to lose too much edge, if that makes sense, because the nails will not last. They will look horrible in the next 2 weeks. But a buffer is actually more than enough to get rid of any sharp edges. So explain that to your client and also ask them if it's okay for them. So now my client asked me that she wanted to have just a simple French today. Nothing crazy. I know people say like French is not simple, but it really can be if you want it to be. So my technique when drawing a French is I create the smile line first. Okay, so I draw 2 lines going downwards and then I draw a horizontal line going towards those 2 lines, and then I use the tip of my brush to create a round edge. So you can't do this with a short brush, guys. Get yourself a really long nail art brush. Okay, don't be intimidated by the length, utilize it. So those 2 lines and then 1 line across and then swoop to the side and then swoop to the side again. Okay, very simple. Like, it actually can be simple. And you're probably thinking, girl, like, are you not scared that it's going to, like, you know, rub off? As you guys can see, there is no way anything can touch my clients because I am placing their hand above my hand. So there's no way that I can smudge it or anything like that. So once I go back and perfect my smile line, I'm gonna go in and fill that gap with more white polish. Another pro tip that I want you guys to know is, you can see I'm tapping the white from my dish. So I'm tapping the white from my dish because I actually mixed that white with some glue, so some gel glue. The reason why I mixed the whites with some gel glue, just a tiny bit, nothing crazy, I used the Macart one, is because it gives me like a thicker consistency. So you know, sometimes when you use a certain white gel polish, it's not as opaque as you want it. But when you mix it with a nail glue, such as the Macart rhinestone glue, it creates a thicker consistency for your polish and you don't have to go over it twice. So that has been really helpful. So after I filled it in, I don't go over with the big brush on the sides. I go back to my little brush and then I fill the rest of it in. Guys, I really hope you are catching on to everything that I'm trying to explain. It's really hard to put all this information in a 30-minute video. Although it's quite a long video, there's just still not enough information. And if you guys want to learn step-by-step, one-on-one, please send me an email. I'm going to link it down below for you guys, and I will be able to give you a personal one-on-one tutoring. Okay, you're not gonna get a certificate from this, do bear this in mind, but you will get years and years of experience, and I will be very hands-on with you. So once you're done with everything, make sure you go ahead and top coat it and you're pretty much done. Like I said, if you guys want more details, more information, just click the link below to email me, and I will be able to create a course for you guys where you can actually learn one-on-one. Or if you guys think this is a better idea, I also want to do an online course. If that's something you guys are interested in, please let me know in the comments below. I would love to create an online course where you guys can watch exactly what I'm doing, 1-on-1 or even 1-to-10. Okay, so I'm really looking forward to showing you guys a lot more things that I have in store. If you have any more recommendations, let me know. But this is the final look. I really hope you guys liked this video. Please comment and subscribe to my channel and like this video. Most importantly, share it. Okay, if you have a friend that wants to learn nails, share it with them and they will get to join us over here. Thank you guys so much for watching once more, and I'll see you guys in my next video. Bye.